Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Parikshit Luthra and here are the headlines we are tracking this evening. Dalal Street fails to hold on to intraday recovery. Nifty and Sensex end at the day's low. Financials continue to underperform. ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank fall the most. Mid-caps outperform the blue chips. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das says India's FY23 GDP growth may breach the 7% mark, sticks with a 6.5% growth forecast for the current fiscal. Although IMF has a lower forecast of 5.9%, Governor Das says that retail inflation will cool in April, cautions that the war against inflation is not over as yet. 19 opposition parties, including the Congress, DMK, Trinamool, released a joint letter, say they would boycott the inauguration of the new parliament building. Opposition parties say that Prime Minister Modi's decision to inaugurate the building all by himself, completely sidelining the president, is an assault on democracy. Go First asks employees to get ready to resume operations, tells them that their April salaries would be credited before operations restart. However, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that many employees, including pilots, have refused to join back before salaries are paid. The airline hopes to restart back-end operations by the end of May. Federal Bank gears up for a 4,000 crore fundraise, picks Kotak Mahindra Capital, Axis Capital, Bank of America Securities and JP Morgan as advisors. The proposed capital raise is likely to be a combination of QIP and preferential allotment routes. That's a money control exclusive. Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi says there is no need to curb coal supply to the non-power sector, says 13 to 14 days stock available at thermal power plants, adds that trade unions and Coal India's management have ultimately reached an agreement on wage revision. Russia claims to have repelled an attack led by Ukraine-aligned militia in Belgorod, Russia's border region with Ukraine. Russia's mercenary group Wagner says his forces will leave Ukraine's Bakhmut by month's end, tells the Russian Defense Ministry to send its generals to hold the city. Florida Governor Ron Desantis, set to announce his bid for the White House in 2024, will most likely make the formal announcement during a live conversation with Twitter chief Elon Musk. Former President Donald Trump has already announced his presidential run. Adidas says that the Indian cricket team sponsorship is a massive opportunity to promote jersey culture ahead of the World Cup, says that the jerseys will be affordable and should be available in a matter of weeks. According to sources, the kit sponsorship will cost Adidas somewhere in the range of 250 to 300 crores over the next 5 years. Let's begin with the day's market highlights. Dalal Street failed to hold intraday recovery to end at the day's low. Nifty and Sensex closed 0.25% in the red. Financials continue to underperform, with HDFC and ICICI Bank being the top losers. Nifty Bank well over 0.5%. Mid-caps relatively outperformed the blue chips. Prashant Nair is here with the day's trading action. Prashant, over to you.
Well, it was neither here nor there. The market sold off early on. There was a sharp rally which took the index to the day's high on the Nifty. And then in the closing 20-30 minutes of trade, actually in almost 40 minutes, the market kept selling off. And we ended not at the day's low, but 60-odd points lower on the Nifty. Banks also a similar kind of picture. Sharp selling coming through in the final 30-40 minutes of trade that we saw. Now, on the Nifty, some of the Adani stocks reversed. They'd been gaining for the last 2 days. So enterprises and ports were lower. And there was some weakness in some of the other, mild weakness in some of the other non-Nifty Adani stocks as well. Tata Motors, ICICI Bank also stood out as prominent losers. There were gainers in the form of Sun and DRL from the pharma space, and Hero looked up as well in trade. Market breadth was almost 1:1, and this kind of is a far cry from the earlier 2.5:1 we had mid-afternoon when the market was up and up. But by close, it was more even Stevens. Having said that, you know, the advantage I would still say is with the bulls, because when you look at price action, you also have to look at volumes. And the list of stocks which went up on strong volumes is far longer than stocks which went down. But since, we're looking at a down market today, let me start with losers. Polyplex, Sangvi Movers, Kirloskar Engine, HPL Power, Sequent, Chempla, Sanmar were some of the names. Now to the gainers, the volume-led big gainers. Dixon, Mahindra CI, lots of news flow related. Deepak Nitrite, Adani Total, EIL, Loris Laboratories, CET, Schneider responding to numbers. NCC reversing yesterday's losses. Sudarshan Chemicals, KPIT Tech, Chennai Petro, and so on and so forth. It's a long list there. I would still say watch for the 20-day moving average, which is about 100 points away from where we left off today, as the reversal point for the market. Today, later, we get the FOMC minutes, and I think global markets will be very keenly watching for all the headlines around the US debt ceiling. Back to you.
Thanks, Prashant, for joining us. Moving on, RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das said that India's GDP growth may come slightly above the 7% forecast. Speaking at an event organized by industry body CII, Das said that economic indicators of the fourth quarter say that economic activity sustained momentum. Governor Das also said that the central bank will stick with the 6.5% growth target for the next fiscal. The IMF forecast is lower at 5.9%. Governor Das also added that even though he expects retail inflation to cool in April, the war on inflation is not over as yet.
For the current year, for the year that has just ended, that is 22-23, the estimates are that it will be 7%. But there is a possibility that it could be even more. The data will come at the end of this month. According to all the recent trends, it will not be a surprise if the GDP growth of last year comes slightly above 7%. But let's stick to 7% for the time being. For 23-24, we have given a figure of 6.5%. And we have said that, with lot of, we have done our internal analysis. Of course, the IMF and other international institutions have given lower projections. For instance, the IMF projects it at 5.9%.
On to earnings now. Western sanctions over Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine impact Russian energy giant Gazprom's earnings in 2022 as its gas exports plummeted. Gazprom's net profit fell by close to 40% to $15 billion or 1.2 trillion rubles last year due to a rise in tax payments in the second half of this fiscal. This is a 41% decline compared to 2021. The company's board has decided to withhold dividend payouts. Moving on, Hindalco has reported an overall beat in the fourth quarter with volumes beating street estimates. However, net profit and EBITDA dipped nearly 50% each this quarter. The company's margins dropped below 10% versus 17% last year. The stock closed with cuts as investors remain cautious on the firm's global business. Shares of Biocon rose in trade today after it reported a stellar fourth quarter, beating street expectations across all parameters. The company posted a 31% jump in net profit and a 57% growth in its revenue. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18, Biocon chief Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw said that the company ended the fiscal with a guidance of $1 billion and it's looking to build on this in FY24 as well.
We had guided for an exit trajectory of $1 billion, which is what we have exited at. And I think we will build on this $1 billion trajectory during FY24. We also are tracking well in terms of transitioning the business from Viatris to Biocon Biologics. And so, as you know, the biosimilars business is the key driver of growth this fiscal for the Biocon group.
Moving on, Gofar's head of operations has asked employees to get ready for the relaunch even as the airline is still putting together its takeoff plan. The airline will be able to resume operations only after DGCA's approval. The aviation regulator will be conducting an audit to check the airline's preparedness. Madhiya Mujawar is joining us with more details. Madhiya, what is the latest? DGCA was earlier saying that they do not have clarity as yet as to when Gofar's can really take off. What are you picking up now?
Well, Gofar's revival largely depends on how soon the airline is able to put together its relaunch plan as well as secure funding to sustain its operations. The airline will need capital to pay its vendors, oil companies and airport operators on a cash and carry basis. So far, we don't have any definite update on whether the airline has received any fresh capital. Then the revival, as you mentioned, is also subject to DGCA approval. The aviation regulator will be conducting an audit of the grounded carrier to check its preparedness before allowing it to fly again. The airline's head of operations, Rajit Ranjan, has asked employees to keep themselves available for flying all the time. He has also asked them to join for a refresher program to ensure that they are fully ready for takeoff. And sources tell CNBC-TV18 that many employees, including pilots, are reluctant to join work before they are paid the April salaries. According to the email, employees will be paid their salaries before resumption of operations. The email also mentions that going forward, salaries will be paid in the first week of every month. So as of now, it looks like things are moving in the right direction.
All right, Madhya Mujawar, thank you very much for reporting on that story. Go First revival plans, and the airline is looking to resume office operations at least very soon. How soon it can start flight operations, that remains to be seen. Let's move on now, shifting focus to a money control exclusive. Federal Bank is gearing up for what promises to be one of the biggest fundraisers by a corporate in 2023. Ashwin Mohan joins us now with more details. Ashwin, what are the contours of this deal and who are the investment bankers on board?
Right, so this is a big bang fundraise in the works as far as IFC-backed Kerala headquartered private sector lender Federal Bank is concerned. If it fructifies, it will be indeed one of the biggest fundraisers by a corporate in 2023. Remember, Aditya Birla Capital is also working on a fundraise. Now, this fundraise by Federal Bank is up to 4,000 crore rupees. What we are given to understand from our sources is that the lender has initiated preliminary steps to launch this deal. They have taken on board 4 investment banks as advisors. So they're taken on board Kotak Mahindra Capital, Axis Capital, BofA Securities and JP Morgan. So the advisors are on board. The preliminary discussions have begun. Now, what are the contours of this proposed deal? So up to 4,000 crore rupees, that's the maximum amount that we're looking at over here. It's likely to be split into 2 components. One is likely to be a QIP component, and the second one is likely to be a preferential allotment component. The QIP component is likely to be around 3,000 crore rupees, and the remaining portion would be something that would be coming in from the pref allotment. That, of course, is the plan as of now, though, mind you, the quantum or the timelines for the launch of this deal haven't been frozen as yet. If you look at Federal Bank, clearly they are looking to aggressively push in the retail space. They want to open more branches. They're also looking to acquire assets in the financial services space. So growth capital and inorganic activity, those are the 2 triggers as far as this proposed fundraise is concerned. We've reached out to both Federal Bank as well as the other investment banks. We are awaiting to hear from them. But keep one thing in mind. What will be interesting is that if the preferential allotment component is indeed relied upon, we'll have to wait and watch to see whether IFC, which picked up a 4.9% stake in Federal Bank earlier, whether they will participate, if at all, in that pref allotment piece. Back to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Ashwin, for joining us. Moving on, there is no need to curb coal supply to the non-power sector. That's the word from Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18's Abhimanyu Sharma, Joshi said that thermal power plants have stock sufficient for 13 to 14 days. He also added that Coal India's wage revision for non-executive workers will motivate all workers in the sector. Listen in.
It is a very happy moment because ultimately they have come to an agreement. Both trade unions, management and all other concerned officers put together, they have worked it out. And considerably they have done it well. I think 19.5% something they have done it. And it is a quite motivational to all workers.
What is the current status on coal stocks? How is India placed as of now? Would there be a need to curb the supply to the non-power sector?
I don't think it is so. And as you have already seen, from 13-14 to till date, 13-14 I think it was 572 million ton of the production. Today we have almost reached 800, nearly about 850 million tons. Normally April, May, June, this is the time when production is reduced. But this time it is going on very well. As far as thermal power plants are concerned, little more than 34 million ton of stock is there in thermal power plant, which is almost sufficient for 13-14 days.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a short break. But coming up, Adidas says that the Indian cricket team's sponsorship is a massive opportunity to promote jersey culture ahead of the World Cup. Says that the jersey will be affordable and should be available in a matter of weeks. Details when we are back.
Samsung Solve for Tomorrow is a national education and innovation competition. This is your chance to make an impact for India. Don't miss the opportunity to win prizes. So join the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow today.
Film shoot, iPhone 14 Pro पे. Amazing camera, huh?
And cut! Hang on, director को भेजना है.
Beach से, कैसे? Those 4K videos are huge. यहाँ juice तो मिल गया. Wi-Fi कहाँ से मिलेगा?
Airtel 5G Plus तो मिलेगा.
So you've
already got it. Maybe you should get it too. Back up, guys!
We don't just design new cars. We create new ways to design all cars. In fact, we make the whole world of India's mobility new forever.
एक ऐसी धरती जिसकी सुंदरता की कोई सीमा नहीं, कला, संस्कृति और ऐतिहासिक धरोहर का एक संगम स्थल प्रशंसकों को एक जादुई क्षेत्र में ले जाता है। जम्मू कश्मीर में एक नए युग की शुरुआत।
हमें मिलकर जम्मू कश्मीर को नई ऊंचाई पर ले जाना है।
श्रीनगर G20 प्रतिनिधि मंडल को जम्मू और कश्मीर की सुंदरता और मेहमान नवाजी का अनुभव करने के लिए स्वागत करता है।
Zedlak Premium Agarbatti and Dhoop, official prayer partner, Delhi Capitals.
R.R. Kabel presents CNBC Awaaz Real Estate Awards, 14 years of excellence. To nominate, visit realestateawards.co.in or call.
Presented by R.R. Kabel, associate sponsor R.R. Parkon.
Welcome back. You are watching Business 360. 19 opposition parties, including the Congress, the DMK and the Trinamool Congress, have released a joint letter saying that they will boycott the inauguration of the new parliament building. The letter states that Prime Minister Modi's decision to inaugurate the building by himself and sidelining President Murmu is a direct assault on democracy. The boycott comes as preparations are underway for the inaugural of the new parliament building on the 28th of May. Addressing the media today, Home Minister Amit Shah also said that Prime Minister Modi will also honour around 60,000 workers who have contributed to the construction of the new parliament in the inaugural event. Abhimanyu Sharma is here with more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to inaugurate the new parliament building on the 28th of May. He is also going to felicitate the 60,000 odd workers who had taken part in the construction of the new parliament building. The new building is a 4-story structure spread across an area of over 64,000 square meters and has a capacity to seat over 1,200 members of parliament. The size of the Lok Sabha as well as the constituencies are going to increase by 2026 as the freeze on delimitation is going to end in 2026. 19 opposition parties have decided to boycott the inauguration ceremony by the Prime Minister, claiming that it's improper on the Prime Minister's part to proceed with the inauguration ceremony. They have claimed that the President of India, as the head of state, should ideally be inaugurating the new parliament building. However, the government has cited instances from the past, from 1975 and 1987, when the Parliament Library and the Parliament Annexi were inaugurated by the then Prime Ministers.
राजनीति को इसके साथ मत जोड़िए। एक बड़ी भावात्मक प्रक्रिया हमारी पुरानी परंपराओं से नए भारत को जोड़ने की। इसको इतने ही सीमित अर्थ में देखना चाहिए। राजनीति अपनी जगह पे चलती है और सब अपनी अपनी क्षमता से, सोचने की क्षमता के अनुसार रिएक्शन भी देते हैं और काम भी करते हैं।
The way in which you undermine the President of India, the first woman tribal President of India, where is the justification? You are violating the customs. That is why we, Congress party discuss with all other like-minded political parties. I am very happy to say that, including TMC, Aam Aadmi Party, all are, including BRS also. They are all in agreement with this sentiments, boycotting the inaugural function.
सभी लोगों से बात हुई है हमारी और हम लोग जो है इसका हम लोग विरोध करेंगे, बॉयकॉट करेंगे। तो पहला सेशन है। हम लोगों का मानना है कि राष्ट्रपति जी जो हैं उनसे जो है उद्घाटन कराना चाहिए था, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट के जो हेड होते हैं एक तरह से वो राष्ट्रपति ही होते हैं।
Moving on to international news now, Florida Governor Ron Desantis is set to announce his bid for the White House in 2014. He will most likely make the formal announcement in a live conversation with Twitter chief Elon Musk later today. Former President Donald Trump has already announced his 2024 presidential run. Netflix has widened its crackdown on password sharing beyond US to 100 more countries. The OTT giant alerted customers in these nations that accounts are only to be shared within a single household only. The crackdown, however, has not begun in India as yet. Netflix said that more than 100 million users are sharing their account, in turn impacting the streaming platform's ability to invest in good cinema. And Adidas has been named the new kit sponsor for the Indian men's, women and youth cricket teams. BCCI has not given out details of the deal value as yet, but sources tell us that the sponsorship will cost Adidas somewhere in the range of 250 to 300 crores over the next 5 years. Adidas India's managing director told my colleague Shibani Gharat that the BCCI deal was the right investment to make. He said that the sportswear giant wanted to promote jersey culture ahead of the World Cup in India.
Thoughts, your CEO, Beyond Golden, said that cricket is the most important sport in India and it is very important for us to be visible and invest in it. Having said that, what is the kind of investment riding on this kit sponsorship?
Difficult question, of course, can't reveal that. It is, of course, the investment is big, as you know, as everybody else knows. All I would say is that Beyond is absolutely right, and this investment is absolutely the right investment to make.
Okay, so in terms of investment, so let me just ask you or put it this way, where does this new partnership stand in Adidas's biggest team sponsorship deals globally, including some glorious football teams globally that you have on board?
Yeah. So again, I would say, the investment corpus aside, it doesn't matter how much the investment is after a point, Shivani. What matters is, are we associating with the right teams? Is it the right sport? How relevant is that? And therefore, are we able to bring the best product to the athlete and therefore reach many more consumers for whom the team is important and the sport is important. And in that context, again, bringing up product and athlete stories through cricket is a massive opportunity.
You said that ODI World Cup is happening this year. How is Adidas planning to leverage this opportunity? Do we see some big budget campaigns also coming up in the coming months?
Well, you can expect that as we roll towards the World Cup. The biggest, let's say, focus for the last few weeks was to get the announcement right, make sure that we're able to get our athletes for the WTC finals. That's a big moment coming up just in a matter of few weeks. But as we roll towards the World Cup, expect some campaigns. The noise levels or the activity levels will start peaking towards October and November. So and as I said, cricket gives us the opportunity to tell our brand stories through cricket, and that would also happen.
And that was Adidas telling its brand story through cricket in India. Moving on, ride-hailing app Uber has announced that it will be foraying into the electric vehicle space. The company's latest offering, Uber Green, will help customers book EV cabs across 3 cities, including Delhi, Mumbai and Bengaluru. I caught up with Andrew McDonald, Senior Vice President of Mobility and Business Operations at Uber, and began by asking him about their latest launch, Uber Green.
So today we announced two really big things. One was the launch of Uber Green, which is a product for consumers to be able to request a ride, just as they do an Uber Go ride today, in a 100% emission-free electric vehicle. So that's a big deal, and I think it's really responding to consumer demand for EVs, for green transportation options. The second big thing was, we like to say sustainability is a team sport. And so we talked today about all of the partners we're bringing to the table, from the OEMs in Tata to our fleet partners in terms of Everest and Lithium and Move.io, to the charging networks in terms of BP Pulse, to financing partners. You know, we are bringing together a bunch of different industry players to make sustainability work, to make electrification work in India, and we're really excited about it.
How much are you likely to be investing in India towards electrification and setting up an ecosystem for Uber?
So we haven't talked about, you know, specific dollars by country. India is a top 3 market for Uber globally by volume, so you can imagine a lot of that investment we're making is going to end up here.
Tesla has been scouting locations in India. They've been speaking to different stakeholders, top-level people in the government, to see if they can maybe set up a manufacturing plant in India. How do you see this move? How would this move be for Tesla?
Well, you know, I'd never bet against anything Tesla says they're going to do, right? What an amazing company. They're a great partner of ours. We're putting 50,000 Teslas on the road in the US and Canada through our partnership with Hertz. It makes a lot of sense to me, right? I mean, I think India could be the next great consumer market for Tesla. Certainly the brand has power already without that operation. And so, yeah, I think it would be an exciting thing for India, and I think it would be great for Tesla.
All right. Uber's vice president saying that Tesla manufacturing in India would be good for India, good for Tesla as well. And India is the largest consumer market and could be the same for Tesla as well. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18 News and updates continue on the other side.